Hello Faulty, I'm gonna do a video that me and Teggett have been wanting to do for a while. How to use Word of Logs to improve your raid performance. So, on our forums we have a Word of Logs sub-forum, and we log raids for a reason. You might find it weird, but yeah, there is a reason. So let's go into our Galactrust attempt right here and open Word of Logs. I want to go into Analyze Damage Done. And I want to pick an attempt that has a fair amount of time. So I'm going to go with number 7. 9 minutes, 56 seconds. Alright, so this is our raid. And I want to look at me. Okay, so this is me. Well, it's going to be. This is going to be me on this attempt on Galactras. And I want to compare myself to another Frost Mage. So how I'm going to do this, open another tab, go into DPS rankings, Siege of Orgrimmar, search for Galactras rankings. I like to put only on US, Europe because, see right here, very weird Chinese font and, things that, make it weird. I don't want to go into that because my spells might have that, so just put US Europe. And I want to search for Frost Mages because I'm not interested in seeing that a Brewmaster Monk did the most damage, for example. I'm interested only in Frost Mages. Try to stay away from the top guys because they probably outgear you so much that, it's not even that useful to compare to. I want to pick this guy, I think, because his attempt lasted 9 minutes 14. You don't want to pick an attempt that lasted, like, for example, 3 minutes 43, because ours over there is 9 minutes also. So you want to compare yourself to somebody that did this fight on kind of the same amount of time. So let's pick this guy. And let's see only his damage. Right, so this is T-Mass, and this is Chopstick. First thing we're going to go into is damage by spell, and here, damage by spell. I can see right away that his Nether Tempest was 23% of his damage, and for me, it was only 16. So right away, I know that I can probably improve if I dot the adds better. 23 to 16 is a very sizable difference. Icelands, for example, did 18 for me, did 17 for him, which is pretty much the same. So, I really want to improve on my dotting with Nether Tempest Bomb. What else can we check here? We can check, you can see somebody's eye level right away, not the eye level, but you can see if he outgears you a lot just by looking at average hits. So for example, my average crit on Icelands is 158k, while his is 200. So he does 48k or 42k more damage per Icelands than I do. So that is gear, you know? You can tell right away, the best way to check if the guy outgears you is to see average damage on hits. Because he's going to if he does, 20, 30k more than you on average on each spell, then he obviously outgears you. But that's fine. We don't want to look for gear. We want to look for discrepancies between my choice of spells on this fight and his choice of spells. So we found Nether Tempest, so right away I need to improve my uptime on Nether Tempest. I had a 71% uptime. He has a 86%. He this is the amount of ticks. I don't want to get into that right now. Let's see what else he has. Stormlash Totem. We don't, so you know, not that much damage anyway. But you know, you can always tell your local shaman to not forget Stormlash Totem. But let's see what else we can see here. I chose Flame Strike a fair number of times, and he doesn't do. You can see that his choice of spell is very. Um, he doesn't choose many spells. You know, he goes for efficiency, like quality over quantity, and that might be a good thing. I really want. I'm gonna have to go check to see if Flame Strike is actually an efficient way of using a global cooldown and a cast time, because it might not be. I might be just wasting my time using Flame Strike. So from damage by spell, I noticed right away two things. First, I need to check if Flame Strike is viable in this fight, and I need to improve on my uptime on bombs. So you can be sure that next time I am going to be uh, worrying a lot more about my bombs than I did on this previous attempt. Now let's go into buffs casts. First I want to check debuffs. So you can see I used Nether Tempest 65 times while he used 111. So right here, again, I need to be better. He used it twice as much, almost. So I need to spread my bombs better. He does it better than me. So gotta improve that. Frostbolt, Flame Strike again, you know, 34 times. Uh, really have to check to see if Flame Strike is viable. What else we can see here? He used Counterspell quite a few times. Me 2 times, he 4 times. Not a big thing. Chrono Cold also used. Frost Nova 9 times. He didn't even use Frost Nova once. So again, this is telling me again that not only he uses his bombs much better, and this really seems to be gaining him a lot of damage, but also he isn't wasting any time with spells that might not be doing as much as I think they're doing. So I need to check Chrono Cold, Frost Nova, if you know that combo is even doing anything for me, and if Flame Strike is efficient or not. Invoker's Energy is something that I want to have 100% uptime. Of course, it's not going to happen. I have 93% uptime. He has 96. So not that much difference, but yes, I need to improve. Can't have, you know, that much difference there. If this was 70, then it would be a big problem. This is really something that you can check to see if you're maximizing the use of your buffs and the use of your cooldowns. Mirror Image I used 4 times. He used once, so not good by him there. Of course, Mirror Image it doesn't do anything that much, you know, it does very little DPS. So maybe he doesn't even want to spend any time doing it. But Icy Vein is a big thing. Icy Vein is the major cooldown that Frost Mages have. So a 9-minute fight, this is a 3-minute cooldown. I used it 3 times. This is something that you really need to check, because I noticed that quite a few people do not go into burst mode as soon as the fight starts. And that's really weird. If you go and check the Fat Boss guide that we used for Galatras, you see that every single DPS going to 400k, 500k for the first, say, first 30 seconds of the fight. And that's normal because everyone is using their rotations right off the bat. They're using their full rotation, maximizing DPS. All the trinkets proc at the same time. All your buffs proc at the same time. Everything, you have everything going on. You're using all your DPS cooldowns right away. So it really is weird to me why in our raid for the first 30 seconds, 40 seconds, we don't have everyone at 400k in a fight like Galactras where we have 5 ads up. Everyone should be doing for 500, 400k on those first 30 seconds. Of course, after that, it starts to go into more normal numbers, but if you're not bursting, on the first 30 seconds of any fight, but especially in this case because we're fighting 5 ads, then you really need to go and check out what is your rotation, what is your core rotation, the things that you do on the pole. On the pole, for example, I can't tell you what it is because everybody plays different classes and I don't play. I haven't played on this expansion. I played a DK a little bit. I played a Warlock a little bit, but I barely even know how to play them. I try my best to play a mage, and God knows I already have a hard time doing that. So you really need to know your class. It's really not that hard. You can just go into if you go into Icy Veins and you look for, say, let's get here, Frost Mages. If you go into rotation, there will always be, um, let's see, opening sequence. This is something that you need to keep in mind. The opening sequence that you're going to use, use it well and know that this opening sequence is something that usually is up again after 2 or 3 minutes. So you need to be, going over the opening sequence, after 2, 3 minutes of the fight, you're going to be doing it again. So this is where the use of the major cooldown. So I was talking about Icy Veins. So Icy Veins is a 3-minute cooldown. I used it 3 times on a 9-minute fight. That's perfect. So let's see. This guy, he used Icy Veins 3 times. So this is what you want to see. You want to have your cooldowns being used as soon as they're up, with a few exceptions. Sometimes if there's a burn phase, or if you're waiting for a trinket to proc, or if you're waiting for a certain situation like you're going up the tower, of course you're not going to blow your cooldown when you're down there. But as soon as you're up there, if your cooldowns are up, you need to be using your cooldowns on every single time. And I know that this is something that not a lot of people are doing. You're not reusing your major cooldowns as soon as they're up. Even if you want, you can check on the forums. We have like a few mods that we use. I have uh, not power auras, weak auras to tell me when my shit is up, when I have to use it again. So, just make sure you know your rotation. Make sure you know your opening sequence. There's really no way that on a fight like Galactras, with 5 ads coming down on you on the on the first 30 seconds of the fight, that you're not going to burst into, 400k DPS. It's, it's weird if you don't, because you're probably not using an optimal opening sequence. And of course, in this case, there are 5 ads, so your opening sequence might be a little different. You might have to tweak it a little because, you want an opening sequence that not only uses all the cooldowns at the same time, but also that does AoE. So check that stuff out, check opening sequences out, check word of logs, compare yourself to people who do very high DPS, see what they're using, why are they getting more DPS than you. If there's very big differences in like spell choices, You could see right here I learned that I have to use my bombs more efficiently just by looking into this. So hey, next time pay more attention to your bombs. You're going to do more damage this way. And also you can look at your buffs to see if you're using everything that you have at your disposal. If the guy has, like, let's say, Frost Decays, which is the other class that I kind of know how to play. If Ice Pillar of Ice, if the guy used Pillar of Ice 4 times, did you use it once, his DPS is going to be much higher, and that's obvious. So this is one of the ways that you can use Word of Logs to your advantage, comparing yourself to someone else. There are many other things, especially for healers. You can also compare yourself to other healers, although for healers is a little, there are a little, more nuances that you have to be aware of, because healing is a little different. And I actually, you can use Word of Logs as a healer also, especially to check what people get damage from. Uh, you can check other healers to see what they're using. But mainly as a healer, what you really want to do is not have your target die. If you're not letting your target die, you're doing a good job. Meters don't really mean much for a healer. But for a DPS, you really want to be looking into this. Although I'm going to say that for healers too, if you have healing cooldowns that are 3 minutes and on a 9-minute fight you used it 0 times or once, this is a problem. I know that healers don't have this mentality, but they should. You should have this mentality. You should be using your cooldowns. You know, you already know the fight. We already know Galactras. So you already know when there's going to be a harder phase, like right when the first mini boss appears, when she turns into a snake. If your cooldown's a 3-minute cooldown, use it right then, because it's going to be up again when the other mini boss is down. So if you're not doing that, the healers need to have this kind of mentality too. If you have cooldowns, they need to be used. If you don't use your cooldowns, people are hurting for mana. You could even be DPSing. You could even be, throwing a little. I mean, how many times do you wipe for a 4% wipe? It's a 4% wipe or a 1% wipe. Uh, didn't we wipe on Sha by 500k? That's one Moonfire or one hit from a Paladin or one hit from, a Priest or a Frost Shock or a Fire Shock or anything. Anyway, so um, it's very important for healers too to make sure that, you're using all the buffs that you can, that you have all your cooldowns being used at the correct times. We can also check here that I used 2 potions. He probably didn't. He probably used it once, yeah, because we used on the poll, and well, it doesn't do much on the poll on this particular case, but this is the correct thing. Every time you look into Word of Logs and you did not use 2 potions, it's a problem. Of course, sometimes the fight, you wipe before you even have a chance, but you really should be using potions every time. And if you don't understand why you can't do higher DPS, this is also one of the reasons you're not using everything you can. Using potions at the correct time is a big boost to DPS. So, um, so here it is. This is a way you can use Word of Logs to improve a little bit of your performance. So I hope that you can see that Word of Logs is not that big of a mystery. Um, maybe Tekid will one day talk a little bit about what he does as a healer over here. He probably compares, what kind of damage people are taking and things like that. But I hope that as a DPS, you guys can learn something from comparing yourselves to other people and seeing if you're doing things correctly.